How's it going, guys? What I'm doing today is making a chainsaw Damascus knife. My plan is to make keyhole integral chef knife using the process called canister Damascus, which consists of your chosen steels such as chainsaws, ball bearings, offcuts, wires, and well, it could be anything. It's also usually accompanied with a fine steel powder, either 1084 for dark contrast or 4800 Kc high nickel for a brighter one. You could also use a 1080 powder with 4% nickel. Now what happens is the differing alloys in the steel when etched get eaten away at different rates. Seeing I'm using 1080 powder without nickel, I'm not expecting much contrast because usually the high carbon steel is etched dark, and I'll have no alloy to resist the etch as a steel with a percentage of nickel in it. There will be a pattern, but not one with a lot of contrast, like I said. Now, listen, I don't really know what I'm doing. I usually fumble my way through my projects with a false sense of security, thinking I know what I'm doing, but I don't. So I recommend you using me as an example and to learn from my experience, and don't take my word, do your own research as well, and come up with your own conclusion. Or you can just learn with me, you know. Anyways, enjoy. Disclaimer, drill a hole. The canister had a gas bubble in it and it ended up splitting, so it all worked out fine, but if you'd rather the canister not split, I'll drill a hole. When I do my canisters, I don't really put a hole in it, allegedly. So what I did here with the chains, after I took it out of the acetone, I lit it up on fire just to burn off all the flammable liquid, I guess. Basically, that's RHS, mild steel RHS. You can use stainless. What I've done here is I painted the inside of it, just up from forge weld to here. If you were to use stainless, I would say chuck it in the forge just to create an oxidizing layer. So things are a lot harder to weld to stainless. So all you have to do is maybe just create an oxidizing layer, then chuck this in, and then you should be safe. I would not recommend you using galv because it's just really toxic. If you care about your health, I just wouldn't do it. Yeah, and if you don't care about health, I still wouldn't do it because there are easier ways. At the moment, I'm just marking out the orientation of this chain, so I know the chain goes this way. I'm not good at forging. I mean, usually I do mosaic Damascus, so I rarely forge the shape to avoid distorting the pattern. But with sandamite actually helps because you don't want to grind those side layers off, and also it creates more activity at the transition from the core outwards. Now I have tungsten all up in this chisel, and this is from the chainsaw chain, which obviously was not planned. I'm not sure how I'm going to combat it, but at the moment I'm thinking of brazing it, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm doing a keyhole integral, so my plan is to drill a hole from both sides and let the meet in the middle. Then I go with my final size drill bit. Now remember, there might be a little present in the bolster in the form of tungsten, so it might be hard in theory and practice. I think I hit tungsten. Okay. That was a nightmare, but I got it. I had to end up using a masonry drill bit to get the rest of the way through. But I still need to go in there, but with a bigger size, so still more I need to do, but that's a start. Doing an integral keyhole, I pretty much eyeballed that in, so it's not parallel or not symmetrical on both sides, which is actually proven to be really hard. I really stuffed myself up with choosing the tungsten. Well, I didn't choose the tungsten. Might even be hard to make that symmetrical if... Nah, well, I'll show you what I'm doing anyways. What I've done here is I got a part of aluminium. This is the template from a different knife, but I placed this on the template, I traced it, and I marked the center line. So now I've got half of it. Then I just mirror imaged it to get the whole shape. Then after that, I've got another piece. And the part that I mirror imaged should go in here. Oh, that's a different one. Oh my. So yeah. It should theoretically fit in there quite nicely. So, because I mirror imaged that onto this piece of alley, I then used a jeweler's saw to trace that, which then I traced on, I'll get this knife here, on here. Now I know that that's symmetrical to the bottom here, and got another one here to go there. So I had to forge and grind the knife a bit more, and I also did the bolster. I tried silver soldering the inclusions because I have a few worries. First, I don't like the idea of pits being bladed where food can possibly get trapped and make it hard to clean. And also these inclusions are stress risers, which in all honesty, the silver solder didn't work. In fact, if it did fill the voids, it would probably just all melt out getting the temp in the kiln, which is now heating up. The side I bought the 2633 off is GFS Knife Supplies. They recommend between 800 to 820 degrees Celsius and a fast quench oil. So I set my kiln up to 820 degrees using Horton's K as the quench medium. The alternative is Rye 50, and I always normalise 3 times or more depending on how many times I need to crack the warp in the blade before quenching. Also, I preheat the oil to make the oil more viscous, which makes the oil easier to flow and agitate, and hopefully the decal will be minimal. Sorry if this jumps around a bit because I don't know what I'm doing and I'm learning on the go as well, so yeah. Straight after quench the blade, I tempered the knife in the oven at home. I tempered it very low because ovens are quite inaccurate and it's easy to overshoot them. So I had it at 120 degrees Celsius. The kiln needs time to drop a temperature after the quench, and that can take a while. So there is a lot of stress in the blade at this point, and I wouldn't be able to be at peace knowing that it could just crack at any moment. So I just do one cycle in the oven to make sure it won't happen. But right now, I temper the knife in the kiln at 130 for 2 hours twice, which is quite low, but I temper low and test the blade and adjust the temperature accordingly. I can always go higher but not lower, that's why I go 130, but make sure you don't do anything that could snap your blade at that low of a temp range. I do this when I'm uncertain with the steel, but if you know your steel well, there's no need to do this step. Now, I actually had pretty bad bacon edge on the knife, which is not good. I had to forge it flat and normalise and repeat it till it eventually stayed straight, but in the end I got it pretty good. With that being said, I do have a warp in the blade which I can get out with shin temper. But make sure the knife is completely cool when you take the clamps off when you do a shin temper. So I do have 2 inclusions in the spine which are stress risers and could snap the blade, but at this point I'm just gambling that you'll be alright.
Now these Australian bowlers right from the start of their spell, the very first ball is really well money.
I forgot to show you guys, but the file does escape. I'm going at it pretty hard as well. And I skipped the fit up because this is my third attempt, and still the fit up's pretty bad. So you can see daylight everywhere and it's uneven, but honestly, it's driving me crazy. I'm not wasting another piece of wood, and you know, snake wood's a good wood. It would be a shame to waste it. You know, I'll rather use it, and you can't say I didn't try because I tried 3 times. So what I'm going to do now is drill holes around the border of the handle, because at the moment for the bandsaw blade it's actually steel blade. So because the TPI is a lot finer, it doesn't like to cut the wood very nicely. But yeah, once I drill all the holes, it just makes it a little bit easier with the bandsaw. So yeah, I could change the bandsaw blade, but I don't really want to. That's a bit of a dilemma. Sorry, the ground's pretty dirty at the moment, but I've got the handle glued in. Just need to let it dry. Like I said, definitely not perfect. It's a heirloom fit. Kind of looks like it's on the piss there. I've sanded this bit to, what's it, 2000, then just went over with a buffer. Just for that bit. The back there I can do later. Then I want to chuck this blade. I reground the blade because the weight was slightly off. Not only the weight was off, but I straightened the blade. Then after I ground it, it obviously warped because there must have been stress in the blade that was there earlier, and then when I ground it, it just warped and bowed. But then I actually ground the edge straight, so if I were to clamp it and then straighten the spine, the edge would be warped, so I had to re-grind it so it was all straight. I thought it was the handle being out of a line, but I literally think it's just the bolster is slightly twisted. So if you eyeball it, it actually is straight. But if you go there, I think that's kicked up, which makes it look as if that's kinked, when in reality it's actually fine. I can hear the comments now saying, did you put your hand in the meat grinder because your hand's fucked? You know, I am a boilermaker by trade. I make knives as well. No matter how much I wash my hands, they're still not perfect, like ever. And like, I wouldn't wear gloves, but a lot of the times I don't like wearing gloves because it could be dangerous in some areas, and yeah. Now, I always find it cool when people are able to find new uses for things that no longer provide any, like chainsaw chain, and make it into a knife. But with that being said, there's a lot wrong with it. For instance, the edge geometry could be better, the keyhole fit up is bad, the two tiny inclusions on the spines are slowly forming cracks. I don't think it will snap though, because I tested it. But you know, just if you use it like a pry bar, it'll probably snap. So as long as you don't do that, you're fine. The 26C3 steel core is not central at all. There's tungsten on the edge and the tip of the bolster is twisted. And now for the positives. It's a functional knife and I've learned so much. I hope you did too, so thanks for watching. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but I do plan on making Damascus Nikiti, a Damascus chef knife and a mono steel Yanagiba very soon in the future. So if you want to see that, feel free to follow me. So that being said, have a good one and bye.